I got sacked by Roma. In FM18, I got sacked by Roma. I know, it seems incredible. You wouldn't believe it now, given my performance with Piacenza. But yes, nevertheless, I got sacked by Roma in FM18. And today is a little bit of a grudge match. But having said that, I do still have a soft spot for Roma. I don't know if it's something to do with the kind of the romance of Rome, or the colour of the badge and the kit, or even kind of these legend players like Totti and Daniele De Rossi, players that really have this kind of Roman gladiatorial presence to them. So today we're playing Roma. This is going to be the first of two films, and in this first film we're going to be having a look at the club, catching up with what's happened in Serie A so far, and trying to come up with a little bit of a plan of how we're going to combat this Roma side. Hello, welcome to Rome. This isn't actually Rome. Not as glamorous, I'm afraid. Neither is it Stoke. It's not Stoke either. I'm in Cumbria. So, yeah, far, far north. But I digress. Today we're playing Roma. AS Roma in Serie A. Roma currently 11th in Serie A, which is a little bit of a surprise, really. Look, all the way down there, and you wouldn't really expect that from a side like this. They're a good side, you know. They've got some very good players, so probably bad news for us because it suggests that they've probably been underperforming so far, in which case they're going to be looking to kind of kick on and batter some small minnows like Piacenza. But let's have a look at them to start with, and then we can work out whether there's a way we can survive the inevitable onslaught. Founded 1927, as you'd expect, you know, professional status, state-of-the-art training facilities, state-of-the-art youth facilities, estimated value 467 million, rich. Obviously, they're in the Champions Cup, which I assume is the Champions League. And they've got a lot of fierce rivals as well, obviously. Lazio, Juventus, Napoli, Atalanta, Catania, and Liverpool is a historic, fierce rivalry as well. Other rivals, Brescia, Livorno, Verona, Milan, Inter. I think everybody hates the Milan clubs in Italy, don't they? I think everybody considers them a rival. Got a lot of legends and a lot of icons as well. Notably the first one who I think is an incredible player, or was an incredible player, Francesco Totti, just beast, isn't he? And then also this guy, Daniele De Rossi. He's currently assistant manager of... Who is he assistant manager of? Perhaps he's not actually got a job at the moment. Oh, maybe we can get him. Oh. I don't think we're going to be able to afford him, but shall we see? No, he's not interested. Okay. It's worth a try. So their manager is Eusebio Di Francesco, who appears to be a good manager here. Preferred formation 4-1-4-1 DM, which is kind of what they're playing. I mean, it's a sort of 4-1-4-1, but they're playing two advanced wingers there, so it's almost like three up front. Steven Nzonzi there, ex-Stoke player. Let's have a look at him. My God, it's impossible to think that he's ex-Stoke, isn't it? Look at this. Look at the state of him. He's done well, hasn't he? Really, like he's come from like Amiens in France, moved to Blackburn, played for Blackburn 86 times, played for Stoke 109 times. Doesn't feel like he played for us that much, but obviously did. Then to Sevilla, and then on to Roma, and he is an incredible player. Having seen him play in real life, you know, I'd say he's probably one of, if not the best player Stoke's ever had. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Stoke. Let's have a look at him. Passing 16, his strength 18, jumping reach 19, natural fitness 18. I mean, his physicals are insane, aren't they? So good. I mean, his acceleration isn't brilliant, but doesn't really matter for the position that he's playing, and the way that he's so good off the ball and his positioning are so good that, you know, he's a little bit like Zidane. He's not like Zidane, but, you know, it's a little bit of that kind of Zidane thing where he doesn't need to run because he's just always in the right place because he reads the game so well. Brilliant player. Up front and vice-captain, Edin Dzeko. Now, last game he didn't play for some reason, so I don't know if he's injured. Let's have a quick look. Doesn't say that he's injured at the moment, so not sure if there's a reason why he didn't play last time, but he didn't. He's a good player. He's getting on a bit. He's got 17 finishing, though, and you can't really sniff at that. You know, I think back to him at his Man City days, and it doesn't feel like he did particularly well for Man City. He probably did, but I guess it was just in terms of the players who were in the team at the same time, he was not one of their best players. For Roma, he is actually classed as one of their icons, obviously very highly thought of there. And he's someone who, you can't be too careful around, If he's on the pitch, he's going to get chances and likely score them. So they've got Patrick Schick as well, another great player, only 24 years old. I mean, what do I say? There's only so much you can do, isn't there, going through these players and going, yeah, he's a good player. Look at him. Look at all his attributes. They're fucking good. What else can I say? Kluivert. God, he's played in a lot of competitions this season, hasn't he? Serie A, he's got 7.7, 80% passing ratio. Another good player, runs down ball the right, places shots. He's got some good physical attributes apart from his jumping reach, which he probably doesn't even really need. Pellegrini is a good player as well in the centre there, 24 years old. Got some good traits as well. Oh, they're all very good. All of them are very good. Very, very good. Here's something interesting. Look who Roma's backup goalkeeper is down here. Joe Hart is now Roma's backup keeper. As if he didn't do a bad enough job for Torino, they've decided, yeah, we'll have a bit of Joe Hart at 33 years old. Okay. Who's this guy up front? Mayoral Borja. Mayoral. Moves into channels, places shots, likes to round keeper. Anything he doesn't like to do, likes to fucking score goals, doesn't he? I mean, it goes without saying, Roma are gonna cause us some trouble. More than cause us some trouble. Roma are probably going to beat us, unless we can find a way to combat them. Now, last episode, we looked at Atalanta, and perhaps we found a weakness. I'm not sure. I can't say for sure that that's what's responsible for us getting the draw against them. But I think it was definitely a good decision to play the way we did based on the weakness that we found. So let's see if we can find any weaknesses with Roma. Last time we looked at this overview and we immediately saw some red squares in there. And, when you see that, you think, oh, great, there's somewhere we can exploit. No red squares today, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. They've also got some good relationships that have been developed between some of these players. Confidence in the squad seems to be okay, though recent results may have chipped away at it somewhat. That's something we can cross our fingers for, but it's not something that we can control. So I want to find something that we can actually have some control over if possible. And it might be something incredibly small, but even just that tiny little thread that we can grasp hold of is better than the amount of hope that we've got at the moment, which is not much. Okay, so I'm not seeing that much on this page. Let's have a quick look at the scout report and see if anything crops up here. The team report card is always a good one to look at. They've got they've got a lot of strengths, and really, it's not worth me looking at the strengths because I'm going to assume that most of Roma is a strength. So weaknesses, positioning. They haven't got good long throws. Okay. Now this is useful. This is something we can use. 8 of the 21 goals conceded, which is not a huge amount, but 8 of the 21 goals conceded in the last 20 matches have come in the first 15 minutes of the second half. So perhaps they switch off at the beginning of the second half. Potentially if we suddenly go attacking, although I probably will be attacking by then anyway, but if I go attacking in the first 15 minutes of the second half, that could be a time when we can grab a goal. 8 of the 18 assists conceded in the last 18 matches have come from the left side of the pitch. Okay, so we can look to exploit that area a little bit. 8 out of 18 is not a huge amount, so it's not something that, I'd be thinking there's a definite weakness there. But it's worth a try, it's worth doing, so we can exploit that side of the pitch and hope for the best. Right, so the analyst report of Roma's last match against Empoli. Now, this is quite interesting. There's not specifically something we can exploit here, but there is something interesting to note, and that is that 4-1 is a little bit of a misleading scoreline here. So you would look at that and you would immediately think Roma are really good. They've beaten Empoli 4-1. By far the better team. But that doesn't tell the whole story here. So if we look at when the goals were scored, you can see that 2 of Roma's goals came in injury time. So it looks like Empoli had potentially just switched off or given up in injury time after having fought back from 2-0 down. And if we look at the match stats, that kind of shows that Empoli weren't that bad, 12 shots to 17, so quite even. 8 of Empoli's shots were on target compared to only 5 of Roma's. So Empoli had more shots on target. Clear-cut chances, Roma only had 1 clear-cut chance. Okay, Empoli had none, but, Empoli had more half chances as well. And possession was also fairly even. So that 4-1 scoreline doesn't tell the whole story. Now, what does that mean for us? We're going to get chances. It's going to be important to put them away. I don't have a huge amount of control over whether my players put those chances away, apart from putting the right players in the right positions and perhaps doing an amazing team talk. But yeah, we're just going to have to hope that the chances we do get, we put some of them away. Again, here we've also got this interesting bit of goal analysis, which is that they seem to score most of their goals between the 16th and 30th minute, but they concede nearly 40% of their goals between the 46th and the 60th minute. So again, that's something we need to bear in mind when we're coming out at half time. No matter what the case is, whether we're winning or losing or drawing, let's just go for them at the beginning of the second half. Okay, opposition instructions. I don't really exploit it as much as I probably should do. I tend to just do the sneaky thing and ask my assistant to do it and kind of let it happen. Apart from if I'm in game and I notice something, and then I might go in and tweak it and change. I very rarely come into this screen before a game and set up some instructions ready to sort of suppress certain members of the opposition. In this case, I've decided, let's give it a go. We need all the advantages we can get. So what I've done is, and this looks like the team that they're thinking of sending out there, or this is the team that has been suggested as the team that they're probably gonna select. So there's a couple of instructions I've put on here. So first off, Justin Kluivert, I noticed that his strength was only 7. So let's set the pressing intensity to always. So we're always going to pressure him. We're always going to press him and potentially can get the ball off him because his strength isn't very good. Edin Dzeko, if he plays, we've got always tight marking. We don't want him to get away from us, and I don't think he's particularly fast anyway. His acceleration isn't great. His pace is 11, so in theory, we can pay a close attention to him and we don't need to worry too much about him running past us. But I think to mark him tightly would be wise, especially as his shooting is 17. And then the only other instruction I've put on is Cengiz Under, who is a very, very skillful, fast winger. And we've just got to show him onto his weaker foot just to try and minimise his threat a little bit. On the formation analysis page here, having a look at the formations faced, when they've faced this 5-4-1 diamond wingback system, which is not identical to ours, it's similar to ours, it's about the closest I can find out of all of these formations that they've actually faced. When they have faced this formation, the chances for have been 1, the chances against 2. So, yeah, -1 every 121 minutes against this system. That's their tiniest little shred of hope. But it's something. So I think that just about covers Roma. We don't have a huge amount that we can exploit apart from that kind of beginning of the second half sneaky attack exploit, potentially. There's the Stadio Olimpico, beautiful stadium. Have a look at the stadium tour, which should be out, hopefully, if I manage to get it recorded. Should be out before this. If not, it might be out later in the week. But, I'll try and get it done as quickly as I can. I know how much you like the stadium tours more than the fucking FM itself, but yeah, thanks for that. Okay, that's enough of Roma. Let's have a look at Piacenza and see what's been happening to us while you've been gone. Well, it's not been great. It's not been terrible, but it's not been great either. So, Serie A games. So this is where Serie A started with that 3-0 win, and we were thinking immediately, brilliant, Zelalem, everything's perfect, everything's falling back into place again. And then kind of things went off the rails a little bit. We lost, we drew, then we drew to Atalanta, and that was the last game. Since then, we've been a bit sketchy. We drew with Lazio, which was kind of a well-deserved draw. 87th minute goal from Robel Gambato, and I think that was goal of the month as well, a really good goal. Inter, we lost 3-0 and we got absolutely trounced, and I spoke about that live on my Slack channel as it was happening. Cagliari, 2-2. Bologna, we won 1-0. Scraped to win in that, really. Again, Gambato in the 84th minute. A late goal. It was looking like we weren't going to win that one, so I'm glad we did in the end. Napoli, a little bit unfortunate here to lose 2-1. We were winning 1-0 for a large amount of the game, and then they got a late goal to win it. Udinese, again, we were unlucky to lose that one, really. Torino, we were unlucky to lose that as well. We haven't been outplayed in any of these games particularly. Sassuolo actually is kind of the opposite. We were lucky to win it. Arguably, they should have won. So, what goes around comes around. And then we played Spal in the Cup, and we beat them on penalties. Believe saved 2 penalties, which was brilliant. So we're through to the next round of the Cup, and that will be against Torino. So that should be an interesting one as well. If we get past Torino, then I might feature some Cup games in the future. And then today, we're playing Roma. So I mentioned Marco Believe there, and that he saved 2 penalties. Brilliant performance from him in that game. He's been really good this season. He's got an average rating of 6.93, which is not incredible, but, you know, it's a fairly good rating. He's fairly consistent. Look, you know, he's getting 6.9, 7.2, 6.8, 7.2, 7.4. He's doing okay. That's his recent form. He's actually done really, really well in terms of shots saved. 80% of 91 shots faced, 80% of those shots he's saved. He's held 41 of those. So he's doing really well. He's not made any tackles, not surprisingly. And look, this is the role you want. If you're playing football, this is the role you want. He's only covered 3.6 kilometres. You need to be a goalkeeper. You don't have to run. He's actually only kept 3 clean sheets, which is not brilliant, but I think that's less to do with him as a goalkeeper and more to do with us as a kind of not very good team in comparison to the others in Serie A. So basically, I'm really happy with the way that Marco Believe has been performing. I think that he's definitely turning out to be a good signing. So another player I want to draw your attention to is Lorenzo Di Livio. So you remember Di Livio from last game? Of course you do. He scored 2 goals. He was the hero of the Atalanta game. But Di Livio used to play for Roma, and Di Livio was released by Roma, and we picked him up on a free after they dropped him. Now look at this though. Between 2012 and 2020. He only played 1 game for Roma. So despite being a Roma player, it looks like he was just on loan a lot of the time, loaned out a lot of the time. So if we have a look at his career stats here, look at this. Roma, and like none. He made his debut in 2015-2016 season for Roma, and then he didn't play for them again. Didn't play for them again at all. So this could be... He could have a point to prove here. He might want to be sending a message to Roma, you know, you made a bad decision getting rid of me. I also, and I don't often want to do this, but I also want to give you a financial update because, have a look at this, overall balance, 8 million. That's pretty ridiculous, isn't it? Considering we were all the way down here, we were down on like 4 million. We're up like double what we were down now, which is crazy. Let's see if we can have a little bit of a look at where that's come from. A little bit of prize money from the Italian Cup, but not a huge amount. Gate receipts fairly low. It's all coming from TV revenue basically. I mean, actually, our attendance has been dreadful this season. I'll try and find out what our attendance was. Okay, so here we go. Lowest attendance. We have the lowest attendance. Our average attendance is 7,051, which is really bad, isn't it? No sellouts. Oh, that's really bad, isn't it? I mean, that's something that we need to really improve. I'm not sure why that is. The stadium seats way more than that. The stadium seats like 20-odd thousand, so yeah, it doesn't make sense that. So there you have it. There's not actually that much we can do. Not a huge amount we can do, apart from changing the formation and, you know, swapping some players around and stuff. I don't like to change formations, though, because there's a familiarity there. And, you know, I mentioned this in the first video of Serie A, where I spoke about, you know, why we were going to stick with the same formation. So if you want to know more about that, go back and watch that. But I'm not going to change the formation, basically. I might switch in some players. I might bring in some older heads. I might bring in more defensive players in the centre. Yeah, we'll see. That'll happen in the next film. So the next film is going to be the game against Roma, so come back for that. And yeah, it's going to be tough. There you have it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we've got a little bit of something we can exploit. It's not as good as last week, where we had a huge area that we could exploit in the pitch against Atalanta, but it doesn't always work like that. In my experience, when you're kind of trying to find weaknesses in a team, it's not very often that you can find something that you can actually really exploit well. So attacking at the beginning of the second half and putting as much pressure on them as we can, that's probably our best bet. So join me next episode and we'll see how we get on.